James chapter 1, verses 5 through 8 and 17. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. This is another perfect description of what I mean when I say, embrace and listen to your pain, and it will show you. In verse 17, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. It's time for us to realize that this is true for all lineages. We're all so diversely beautiful and unique. How can we have so much in common? But imperfections and otherwise lack of integration causes the division, separation that divided the tribes and religions. But the same principle in reverse unites, integrates, and gathers the tribes and lineages, rendering every religion into the one true kingdom of God. And now we have more actual science, actual knowledge, and actual wisdom than ever before for added clarity. All theologies, which are different viewpoints for the nature of God, have evolved based on people's integration or disintegration of truth with polar opposites. Duality in nature, such as atheism and pantheism, or monotheism and polytheism, well, all along, we've been discovering various elements of nature and God, and we've been learning to find balance in integrating truth. And syncretism is a mainstream term which I prefer not to use. It's a derogatory term like socialism in some circles, just like the words goober and pagan. Remember, what we're doing and the way we're doing it is not the same as anyone else has ever done it before. And it's how something is done that makes it what it is. If someone failed, they may have simply not had enough pieces of the puzzle to succeed yet. Syncretism only partially describes what God calls the gathering, and the gathering more closely describes what I'm referring to when I use the term the grand integration. And I personally prefer to just teach the correct principles of the laws of empowerment, tree of life versus tree of death, integration versus disintegration. Perhaps in the future, all the efforts of people to find balance will be recognized as levels of integration or disintegration from beginning to end, and the concepts of the integration of theologies and intertheism or intertheistic, like one big game of connect the dots. We're not here to destroy, but build up. Other more positive mainstream terms are interdenominational and interfaith. It's time to show great respect for all the great virtues that have existed from the beginning of time. The two great commandments of love God and love your neighbor, and all other laws hinge off of that. The funny thing is, with organizations threatened by destroying, something that's going to be detrimental to their religion, the funny thing is, they can't all be right. Otherwise, they'd all be saying the same things, or at least not contradicting each other so much. So when we study the actual principles, yes, they're afraid, and they have reason to be, because some of it comes as a rather rude awakening. Some of it has to be tough love sometimes. That's just the way it is. They can either embrace it or run from it. It's bittersweet. They don't just find out where they were wrong. They also find out where they were right too, what their strengths were, where they are able to complement what it is new that they're learning. That's the beautiful side of the gathering. At the same time, in a weird way, they were all perfect, because they were just creating a system of learning the lessons they needed to learn. I believe that really there's a perfect plan for everybody. Everything happens for a reason. We've kind of signed up for all of this. That's what I believe. We've co-created everything. To deny such responsibility is also to deny our empowerment to shift things for the better. As I said in the beginning, I'm not here to pull anyone away from their lineage at all. That's not what this program is about. It's to help everyone add to what they already know is true and see through what wasn't true, to see it for what it was, as the human side of us all. If we just see the abuse as the human error, it doesn't mean that we throw out the true principles the organization teaches. Otherwise, everyone's lost. This reminds me of a Messianic Baptist church in Amarillo, Texas that I was introduced to, and I did some training in their chapel. Half of them celebrate their Sabbath on Sunday, and the other half celebrate it from sunset on Friday to sunset on Saturday every week, yet they don't argue about it. Now, if they can do that in the Bible Belt, anything is possible. They allow people freedom to grow at their own speed with some things. It's up to you to be careful. Too much cognitive dissonance can happen when people try to grow too fast, creating destruction. There's a long history of this, with many people having good intentions. You've got to pay attention to your own stress levels and pace yourself through this program. This program will help everyone become more aware of what their issues are. If we can all do that and understand each other, if we can finally get the basics right, love God and love our neighbor, the two great commandments, finally, and with the Applied Lymphology course, we've had the foundation for showing people how to approach that second great commandment for a long time, to love God and love your neighbor. Who knows when we'll finally agree on exactly who God is and exactly how to worship God. So many different religions, views, opinions. But the second one, to love your neighbor, that's something we've got plenty of science showing exactly why and how we've got to love and how that works. We've been busy uniting hearts and minds all over the whole world on that for quite some time. And how much closer at that point do you think we might be to figuring out how to do the first one better? Of how to love God, if we figured out how to actually get the second one right. Then we automatically love God better when we love our neighbor. It's the real reason they were grouped together as the two great commandments. The truth of this has just become more and more clear. We can do this. We've been suggesting this as an easier doorway to solve our problems all along. Nature has already shown us that process long ago. Ronald Reagan said that our brand of lymphology was too futuristic when his people looked at it. Well, now it's almost too late.